Hi, this is Erica DELSIGNORE, and I'm the founder of Daily Lead Campaign, where we find you leads every single day using social media and video marketing tactics. I am so excited to introduce to you today my guest on my Great Minds, Great Marketing interview series, Billie Bowe. She is amazing, and I met her a couple of years ago, and she has got an incredible business as a speaker and a trainer for women entrepreneurs, teaching them how to get ahead in business and how to brand themselves. Most importantly, she is an expert at branding, way better than I am, actually. So I'm really excited to get to pick your brain today. No, I mean, hey, look, you put the advertisement out on this interview today. It looks amazing. Your pictures are always incredible. So Billie, thank you so much for coming on. Welcome to the show.
And thank you for having me, Erica. I'm truly delighted to be on your show.
Okay, fantastic. Now, I'd love to sometimes I like to pick into people's personal lives before we get into business. And, you have such a lovely family, and it's been a long-term family, like beautiful kids, beautiful husband. How do you do it?
Well, actually, though my family represents how I'm able to do it. The fact that I have a very strong support system. My husband is extremely supportive, and my family are supportive. Many times when I do events or travel, my family is right there with me. So it's like a family. It's a family business. So I truly, a part of my goal, or I guess my why, is to always have that alignment with my family. So I do things that would not interfere with that core value, and that is to spend quality time with them. So it's good to be an entrepreneur because you really have that flexibility to create your own schedule, create your own, design your own plan, your own life. And for me, it's centered around my family.
Oh, I think that's fantastic. So let's start in with the business. And so you're bringing them along, they support you, and I know that's true because I heard your first success story with having your first event. I don't know if it was your first event, but having an incredible. Wasn't it your first event?
It was my first event. Yes, my first coming out party.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know. Do you mind sharing that? Because I find it incredible how you were able to brand this. First of all, let's tell us where you're doing this. Like what where you live, and then tell us about this event. That was such an incredible success story.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it really was birthed out of an idea that I had many years before I actually put it together. And I always had this vision of having an event for women only to talk about the things that we all have in common. And women have stories in common, like our family, our relationships, business, all sorts of different things in common. So I decided I wanted to have a themed event called Coco Chanel, the Principles of Business for Women. And it just so happens that I was actually in the process of being coached by, the awesome, great Speaking Empire coaching team, Dave and Dustin. And I was doing my Power Day. I don't know, people may not be familiar with it, but anyway, that's where you go and they help you with, your speaking from the stage. So I said, just as a matter of fact, to Dave Van Hoos during the time, I said, listen, I have my event coming up, and it's in 6 weeks. And he said, what? You have an event in 6 weeks? Well, we need to do X, Y, Z. And literally, he supported and coached and helped, along with the awesome team that I have here in Freeport, the Bahamas, and we were able to pull it off. In 6 weeks, we had, it was really a great event. Lots of support. So we had great corporate support, sponsors. So yeah, it was amazing, and it was a leap of faith because it was not something that typically you would see happen here, where it was actually free. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, it was my first time selling from the stage, which is a little nerve-wracking, but it was a really great experience. I have, and it's just not me saying this. That's what the attendees said. We had lots of testimonials. It took me about a week to listen to all the video testimonials because they were so moving. So yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. I mean, I think that when you were talking about selling from the stage for the first time and the offer that you put out there, people did rush to the back and you sold almost everyone in the room. And I think people were trying to write down credit card information on napkins, or like it was crazy, right?
It was a very exciting moment to see. You know, at that moment, I know that you are also a part of the Speaking Empire family as well. But you know that feeling when you do make that call to action, that first call to action, that feeling of, oh my God, are they going to get up and are they going to
Yeah.
go to the back of the room? And so for a minute there, I was like, is it going to happen? And then when I saw it happen, it was just really, it was amazing. But, you know, out of all of that, the most transformational experience for me was hearing the testimonies from the women about how they had all these aspirations, goals, dreams that they wanted to accomplish, but they just did not know how, and attending the event gave them what they needed to jumpstart and just take that leap. And that's why I work with women so much, because you know, I have a passion for it. I understand how they feel. I've been there, and were it not for mentors and coaches, you know, I would not probably have gotten this far probably this quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is fantastic because to be able to move and encourage an audience, a brand new audience, like a cold audience, that they're just meeting you for the first time, most of them, I think that's really speaks your speaking and your personality and how much people really trust you right off the bat, and I think that's really fantastic, and that is truly unique. So congratulations on that again.
Thank you. But we just had our second event in March, which was also a wonderful experience as well. That one was called Coco Chanel, the Woman, the Message, and that really was there was a lot of crying, a lot of bonding, networking, just women sharing their stories about their dreams, aspirations, and even the challenges that they have encountered. And so yeah, it was a great experience. So it was in March of this year, and we hit it out the ballpark again with the support from the community.
That's amazing. And you're doing this in the Bahamas, which is
Yeah.
a small place. So that's incredible. So can you share with us just a few of the tips that you gave to women entrepreneurs at these events that really, really made a big difference to them?
Well, I am a big believer in really understanding what it is that you're doing and why. I think I learned it the hard way, I must admit. I'm a go-getter. I'm extremely ambitious to the point where I would work and work and work. But I think when I discovered why I got into my business in the first place, then I realized why I was going off track, because I got into my business because I wanted freedom. I wanted to have that freedom to spend time with my family. So I encouraged women to basically discover their why. What is it why are you doing this? And when I reflected on the fact that I was doing this so that I can have the freedom to spend time with my family, and this was not supposed to be a stressing a time of worry, and but I had moved away from that and felt extremely stressed because I forgot what my why. I just did not have it in alignment with what it is that I was doing. So I encouraged women at this event to discover their why. So we talked about what that is. That why is the thing, that passion that gets you going, that helps you to propel and have that momentum behind your goals and aspirations. I think when we move away from what that why is, we kind of get lost. And so I shared with the audience some strategies that they can use to discover their why. You know, we had an action planning session. We really dug into this aspect of, you know, if you're going to be in business, you're going to do it from a place where you keep yourself, your mind, body, and soul safe. And to do that, it means you have to be strategic and very, very mindful and very, in tune with what's going on. So we talked about all, at this last event, it was about broadcasting your message across various media. How do you keep a consistent voice, brand voice? So that's why it was called The Woman, the Message. So we had a pitch competition where we had contestants come up and pitch their businesses, pitch perfect competition. And so that was really interesting too, because that was the first time for a lot of people to actually have that elevator pitch and sell an audience, and the audience decided who won. So yeah, it was really great. We had a speaker from the U.S. Embassy. We had a great male speaker for the first time who spoke. It was really it was a great event, and we really gave them great strategies to start now. Everyone left with an action plan. What are you going to do in the next 90 days? I believe that if you really truly want something, you have to write it down and you have to take some sort of action. And the action, was basically committing that they're going to go and follow the path, what it is that they learn in that room, and keep going. So yeah.
So that's really interesting. I absolutely believe in what you're saying about people not knowing their why and really coming back to. I mean, I love it when people plan their business. They plan their life first, then they plan their business around their life. And not enough people do that. They have an idea and they go at it and they use a lot of different methods, and some work and some don't. But they're really just throwing, pasta on the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yes.
So it's much better if you are planning it from a why perspective. Do you want a lifestyle business where you can have more time for yourself and your family and your hobbies and fun, or is it that you just want a job and just keep working 60, 80 hours a week? It can absolutely happen. People think if you're an entrepreneur that it means automatically you get freedom. It's absolutely not true. You're wearing all the hats.
It's exactly. It's not true, and it's very deceptive. So when I coach my clients, I always encourage them to have a balance, and we work on basically putting together a schedule. A schedule. I mean, I believe in schedules and obviously goal setting, but I also believe in flexibility and life and whatnot. But at least we must have something that we're working towards. So we basically put together a schedule. This is the time that I'm going to allot to my self-development. This is the time I'm going to allot to, for instance, if it's an online business, to perhaps creating a campaign, or this time is allotted for that. So it's trying to segment your week as best as possible, but not get too hard on yourself if you don't actually stick to that plan, because again, we're living in real life, so we know that things happen. So and one of the things that I found myself getting trapped in is this, because as a corporate businesswoman, I started out in a corporate environment like many people, high intense environment where work was my life, and I was working way too hard. I was gratified because I enjoyed what I was doing, but it just was not healthy. And so basically, for us women, because we wear so many hats, it's so easy to do that and make it look seamless, when in fact, it's really not good for us holistically. So I try to help So I try to help clients to kind of find that balance whenever possible, because it's I have a daughter. I homeschool, so people say, how do you do that? How do you do this? How do you do that? Well, I try to make sure I stick to what it is that I set out to do, and that is to enjoy life with my family and time with my family. So if it means enough to you, you're gonna go out there and do it, but do it smart. And
Yeah.
you know what? Learn from others. I think that's why I think coaches are so awesome, because you don't have to like go 20 years doing it wrong, or not
Yeah.
successfully. You can actually get someone to help fast track that. And so, yeah. So for me, it's it's a way of keeping the balance but still maintaining momentum in my business.
So I wanted to backtrack a little bit. Now, you started off as a reporter.
Mhm.
When you were deciding to go, from your corporate job to starting your own business, I mean, what were some of the factors in that? Do you have any stories around that part of your life?
Well, yeah, I've always been a business-minded person. I think that's just kind of a part of my DNA for some reason. I started my first business when I was 21. When I say first, I mean official, like with an actual business license. I was living in Charlotte, North
Hmm.
Carolina, and I I saw an area that I thought needed some support, a service, and that was computer training for persons that were elderly or retired, because
Mm.
in the community that I lived in Charlotte, I was involved with doing a lot of computer training with a local organization, but there weren't a lot of older adults there. Obviously, you have younger people there, and I said, you know what, this could be an opportunity for me to actually meet people where they're at. I I did some research and found out that it's for someone who was retired, and mind you, this is 20 plus years ago. So we're not talking about social media and people having access to information like we do now. But I basically just printed up flyers offering computer training one-on-one at their homes, and I selected neighborhoods that I knew had that target audience, and I just went and I hit the pavement, and
Wow.
I just literally hit the pavement and started getting calls, and went into and trained people on how to use computers. And and the thing is, at the time, it was a little bit, I guess, I don't know if it's an embarrassment or strange for someone who is not in their 20s to be sitting in a classroom learning how to use a computer. So I found that to be a niche. That's an area where I can fill a need, where they don't have to come out of their home and do this. We can do this right on their own computer in the comfort of their home. And that was the first business I started. This business, Benchmark Consulting Services, I basically started that business in 2007, meaning I opened, I got the license and everything, but I was working full time as a director for actually the largest private employer in the Bahamas. And so I was extremely busy with my work, but I always wanted to get into the consulting business. So I started the business and had no intention at the time to just leave my job and start it. But one day my husband came home and said, "Honey, we're moving." And I'm like, "What? What do you mean we're moving?" And basically, it was a decision that we made. We moved to another island, which happens to be the island I'm on now, which is Freeport. And I tried to be a stay-at-home mom for the summer, like the whole pool parties and all that good
Yeah.
stuff with the kids, and that. And then when September rolled around, I was like, what in the world am I gonna do? I just left this corporate job. I was climbing the ladder. I had just gotten a promotion. What am I gonna do? And I said, you know what?
Yeah.
This is it. Now is the time for Benchmark Consulting Services to happen. And it just uh, I got my first client within weeks, and it was a big client. It was scary because, you know, when you write that first proposal, consulting proposal, and you put your value on there, you're like, okay, are they gonna actually pay me for this? It actually worked out, and so that's how I got started. Had I planned it like strategically, like step by step by step, I'm gonna leave in this amount of time, I'm gonna have this amount of money, I'm gonna do this, blah blah, I may not have started. But because of this life-changing event of relocating and not wanting to work for someone, I said, you know what, this is the time now, Billie. And I just happened to have the infrastructure legally in place to start my company. So I just did.
That's fantastic. I did a similar thing. I got laid off when I was 7 months pregnant and started about 5 years ago on this is the second entrepreneurship I've had. So absolutely, it's funny how life just kind of plays its cards, and then you have to get in line with it and make the success of what you have.
Yes.
That's fantastic. So what are you promoting today? I know you have a couple of events and things that you wanted to talk about. Well, actually, you know what? Before we do that, I do want to ask you one quick question that I ask everyone, because I'm making these a little shorter, but I don't want to skip the really good stuff. I wanted to ask you, what are the marketing strategies that you have found to be very effective as a person starting out this new speaking business within the last few years? You know, what has really worked the best for you?
Okay, well, that's one question that I get asked a lot in various ways. Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that I use is I leverage public relations. I guess maybe that's because I have that journalism aspect in there, but I truly believe that you have to be visible. People need to see you, they need to know you, they need to interact with you. And a lot of times that requires you to be, present and doing things that are not revenue generating, but it's allowing you to have, to build credibility. So when I first started Benchmark Consulting Services here in Freeport, Grand Bahama, I started out basically by having free seminars and training sessions at a central location that everyone knew about, and strategically ensuring that my message that I wanted to send across in terms of press releases or news articles was crafted and sent the way I wanted it to be sent. And so that I became a thought leader in the community as someone, okay, Billie is this trainer. She's someone who does training. When in fact, I was really, truly loving the training, but it was a gateway for me to get into a corporate environment where people are actually hiring me as a consultant, as a business consulting. So I celebritized myself. I was always in the newspaper, always on TV, on the news. It was so strategic. That was the number one thing I think made, I hate to say it because it's not me being egotistical or anything, but kind of like a household name in the local area. Everybody knows kind of Billie Bowe.
You say it?
So and it was a strategy, and it was of value because I was giving value, and what I was getting in return was not financial, but it was giving me that brand equity that I needed. And so that combined with paid advertising, I started to write in columns, and had my own column in a few digital and paper local papers. And so I gave information about business, and also, in fact, I have an article due today. I have a deadline today. But so I started to write as well, because I do believe that if you give information to people, people need to be able to trust what you have to give them. And so for me, marketing is a combination of developing a relationship and eliciting that emotional connection and creating that connection with your target audience. However, you can. I build relationships. I'm a relationship builder, so I really got to know the people in the community who were the influencers and ensure that I had opportunities to, if I needed to meet with them, talk to them, get on an interview with them, I could. And then eventually incorporated more advertising. Now, in the speaking business, this, I must admit, I've recently rebranded or in a transitional stage because I'm moving away from the consulting with companies and more through my speaking and coaching business, dealing with clients from an entrepreneurial perspective. So
Yeah.
this has been an interesting transition. So even when it comes to branding, I'm still in what I call the embryonic stages of rebranding, because everyone knows the benchmark consulting, the consultant, the HR expert. What I'm doing now is, solidifying myself as someone who can truly help women in their businesses. Not that I don't have the experience in it, because I have held office with organizations in charge of small business development and entrepreneurship, like in our Chamber of Commerce. So, but to now make it about Billie Bowe, the brand, as opposed to Benchmark Consulting Services, the HR consulting firm, it's a big shift. And so
Sure.
it's still happening, but my combination is leveraging relationships, personal relationships, authentic ones, leveraging the media. I love the media. I respect the media. So, that's a big deal. I don't have challenges when I ask for them to cover something. I'm not, I don't have any. They come to my home to interview me because of the relationship that we've built. Yeah, it's pretty awesome to have your own news, your local news station or TV station helping you with your own product launches, and that's basically what they've done. And then couple that with obviously a robust, very interactive and engaging social media branding or marketing campaign. So those are my two strategies. The social media aspect is something that I've just really started to turn on. Prior to that, it was really leveraging relationships with the people in my community and my target audience and client.
Wow, that's incredible. So to that end, I know that you have some courses and events coming up that are helping people with their own branding and PR. And I'd love for you to talk about those events and and give us your new website, which is also on this Facebook post that I put out there, and in the article, if you're reading this or watching this from the social media article that I put out in over 50 places on social media, it's there. So, but I'm going to let you talk about it here so that people know where to find you and what these events are about, because they're coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, basically I am about to do a launch of a product called Amplify and Activate Success System, which basically is a product that will help people in business with their marketing, their branding, identity, just how do they turn this passion that they have and monetize it, which is one of the hardest things that I find that a lot of clients come across and say, I love doing this, but can I really make money from this? And so this is the product launch that I'm about to release soon in a series of webinars and podcasts and whatnot, and blogs. And then there's the wellness. I'm having a retreat, a mindfulness and wellness retreat. And this actually is a part of the same system. So those persons who actually bought the system at first event are automatically, this is one of the bonuses. And so this is going to be an opportunity for us to kind of regroup and you know, it's June, so we're 6 months into the year. How are we doing with our goals? How are we doing with whatever it is we set out to do? Do we need to change something, do something differently, support each other? But I want to also focus on being mindful and really wellness, because that's a huge, huge passion for me, is actually being extremely aware of what your body's telling you and responding to that, and knowing that you cannot do anything successfully if you're not well. If you're sick mentally or physically, you can't. So this retreat is basically a small group of women, and it's on June 24th and 25th here in the Bahamas. Registration is going to be open soon, and people can find out more on my website when that time comes. But truly and honestly, this is an opportunity for women to just rejuvenate, relax, regroup. Not intensive training or anything of the sort. It is a time for us to reconnect with ourselves and be grounded and centered. So, yeah.
Well, if you have one of these in the winter, I'd be happy to come down.
It's gonna be hot because it's hot now, but I'm trying to.
Because I'm from a very cold place, so I'm from Boston.
Oh, you're in Boston. I love Boston. Oh, geez.
Yeah, Boston is great, but it's it's nicer to be in the Bahamas in the winter.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. So they can find out about these things all on your website, billiebowe.com. That's spelled BILLIEBOWE.com.
Mm-hmm.
And is there anything that we've forgotten today?
I think one of the things that I'm really trying out, and I would love to get feedback from your audience or the persons that have dialed in, feedback on my Instagram campaigns. So if they can follow me on Instagram and by all means share comments and feedback, that would be great. My Instagram it's B Bowe BS basically. So B Bowe BS on Instagram. Okay. Yeah. And they'll be able to follow me, and you'll see that's a lot of activity is happening there on a daily basis. So yeah, and I often do competitions and giveaways and whatnot. So it'll be great if people can go there and they can find out about what's happening as well. But between the website and Instagram, well, of course, Facebook. Facebook is also my go-to as well. So, but I am.
Yep, we're live streaming there right now.
Wonderful. So, but I am doing what I consider, as an entrepreneur, I believe in experimentation. If you don't experiment, then you never know if something's going to work or not. So I'm experimenting right now with the Instagram approach that I'm taking with my brand. So let's see how that works out.
Well, yeah, definitely let me know how that works out. That's one that I haven't dabbled in yet. I'm doing mostly YouTube and video marketing, and then obviously LinkedIn. I love Facebook too. I just don't do a lot of ads on there. I just do blogging. So yeah. Well, it has been a real pleasure to have you on the show today, and I want to thank our audience for tuning in to see Billie Bowe and her talking about how she really gets women fired up to be entrepreneurs, and gives them the tools, really have the confidence to go out there and just make a start, because all it really takes is one step. So you've been a true inspiration. Your stories are amazing. I know that we could probably talk for hours about all the really cool things that you've done and the people you've inspired. So I really do appreciate you coming on the show today. And I know that it's been a pleasure for the audience as well.
Well, I appreciate it, the invitation, and I thank you so much for giving me the chance to speak about my business and what I do. And so, yeah, it's great. Enjoyed it thoroughly.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again. And this has been Erica DelSignore interviewing Billie Bowe on my interview series, Great Minds, Great Marketing. Tune in next week, and we will have more great interviews coming out on Tuesday. And look for this as an article in the next few weeks out on social media. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And thank you, Billie, for coming on today. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you.